What is up, everyone? My name is Matt. This is Made with Matt, and today we're going to be building out a photo sharing app UI using Figma. So here's a quick demo of what it looks like. You've got this first page here with tons of albums. You could click this plus icon here to open up a bottom drawer, close it, and now we could go click one of the albums. And here we'll see a better picture of it, who's involved on the album, and the photos. So you'll learn a ton from this. We'll be building out a design system to get it going using reusable components, and later on we'll be converting this to React Native if you're interested in the actual coding section of it. Now, the reason I'm working on this project is because one of you actually recommended it. Shout out to you, DJ Red. Hello, could you do a gallery app UI, please? Absolutely. I replied in the comments. He sent me a picture of what he was looking for, and this is it. So this is what we'll be building, and let's get to it. So to get started, I've opened up a blank Figma file, which you could do from your Figma dashboard. We're on this first page here. I'm going to click F to get a frame. You could also click up here, and I'm going to go with the iPhone 11 Pro or the iPhone X. So this is going to be our first page. We'll give this one a title of albums, and this is just going to be basically our home page. So first thing we'll want to do is add a title to it. So we'll click T, or you could click the T up here and give it a title. So we'll go albums. Now let's center that and let's place it around there. Let's see. Let's give it 50 from the top. And now what we'll want to do is we'll just need to switch this to 18, make it a bit smaller. Make sure that you've got the Nunito font here, and we'll put it to bold. By the way, the reason we're using Nunito is because on my Twitter, I made a thread with asking everyone to talk about their favorite font. The one that got the most likes would be in the video. So shout out to you if you said Nunito. Now I'm gonna go get the actual picture of the template that we're following, just so we have it side by side so we know what we should be doing. So this is it. So we know that we want some rectangles here with rounded edges that have pictures as the background with some text inside. So let's get started to do that. Now, because I want the spacing to be pretty consistent everywhere, what I'm gonna do is click the album's frame and then click layout grid. Now this gives us a grid. I'm gonna click this button here, change the grid to columns, and now I'm going to have 5 columns. I'm going to change the margin to 16, and now this is going to give us some nice breathing room to make our rectangles. So I'll click R, or you could click up here. I'll just drag it out, and right away I'm going to change the border radius to 10, so it already looks a bit better. Shrink it a bit in size. Let's give it 80. And now I'm going to remove this, or at least hide it, so that we actually see our rectangle. And I'm going to start adding some text to it. So we could see that it's some white text. So let's go ahead, click T. So colors. We'll give it a font size of 18, keep it bold, and keep it as Nunito. And next we'll add another text item underneath, and we'll say created by, and I think it's here, it says it's a bit pixelated, but created by you. So we'll do that, change this one to, let's say 16 or 14. I think that looks a bit better. Perfect. And oops, now I've selected both of them. So I click one, hold shift, click the other, and I'm holding down the option key now to see how far it is from the left and, well, basically all the borders. So I'm gonna set it at 16 and ideally 16 on the top and bottom. For now, this will do, but yeah, that's perfect. Now let's make sure these line up. Awesome. And if I click both of them together by holding shift, I can then hold down shift, click the background and center, whoops. That wasn't right. Let's hold down shift and there we go. Just like that, move it and it's gonna lock in place. Now let's go double check it compared to the design. Looks good. This doesn't look bolded, so I'm gonna go ahead and tap this one, remove the bold, and I'm actually gonna make it a bit bigger. So let's put it to 16. Good, and I think we could increase this one actually. So we'll put 24 and then 16. Make sure they're both on top of each other. Good, and let's make this just a bit bigger. Cool. So this looks good. Now let's add a picture to it. And the reason I'm only starting with one is that we'll create a component out of this and we'll be able to just copy paste it into the other ones, which makes it really, really easy and fast to create our designs. So let's just make sure to get one done properly, and then the rest will be pretty easy. So now I want to add a picture, a background picture. So what I could do is click the rectangle here, right click it, go to my plugins, and click the Unsplash plugin. If you don't have this plugin, click Manage Plugins, and you could go download it from the Figma community. So I already have it downloaded. I'm gonna go Plugins and then Unsplash. And now what's really cool is I could just click Insert Random, and there we go. I have a picture. So I could put whatever I want. If I wanted, I could put nature, I could put business, I could put food, anything. So I'll go with a wallpaper. Actually, let's take another one. That looks pretty good. And there we go. Now we have a background image. So I'm gonna go ahead and select these two text items and change their color to our white. And the white I actually want is FA, 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 just slightly off white. And that looks great. So now what we'll do is we'll start creating our design system so that all our colors are consistent and it's much easier to update colors later on when building out the rest of the design. So to get started with that, we can click, for example, colors here, and we'll go to the text and create a design system out of this. So to do that, you click this little style button next to text. You can click plus, and here we can give it a title. So this one is bold and size 24. So let's call this one, whoops, I have my caps lock on, heading 1, and we'll create the style. Now for this one, let's go ahead in here, plus, and we'll call this one body 2. Let's create that style. Awesome. And we could even go create this one as a text style. We'll call this one heading 2. And you'll notice that all the headings are bolded and all the bodies are not. So that's a good start. We could also go ahead and add some colors to our design system. So you go to fill. Here we have a style button. You can click that and click plus. Here we could say that this is our white color, which is going to be FA, FA, FA. And now here we could remove our custom color and add that one there. And yeah, we are good to go. So this looks good. Now let's add an avatar to it. So we saw that in the initial design here, we have these avatars, which are just kind of like circle pictures with a white border around them. I found this was like a nice touch, a good little challenge as well when converting to React Native. So let's go ahead and throw those in. So to do that, let's just start on the side here. Click O on your keyboard or go up here and click ellipse. Hold down the shift key and drag to create a circle. Now we'll give it a width and height of 40, and we'll start by giving it that white stroke. So stroke is the border. And since we created our design system, we could just click white here instead of putting it in manually. Now, like we did for this background, let's go right click it and go to our plugins, Unsplash. And for this one, what I find super cool is we could click portrait. So you click portrait and there we go. We have the picture of someone. So now let's copy this one. So to do what I just did there, I'm holding down the Option key. I'm on Mac. I believe it's the same on Windows, but I'm holding down the Option key and then clicking and dragging, and it creates a duplicate. So here we could insert a new portrait and do the same thing a couple times. Portrait. Cool. So now I'm going to make it look like we have here. And to do that, we're just going to need to stack them one on top of the other. So let's go ahead and get that started. So we'll have one here, another one here, and let's give it a distance of 16 from each other. So I'm holding down the Option key once again and moving it with my arrow keys, so 16. And now we'll place this one here, 16. Awesome. And we'll just delete this one for now. So we could go ahead, grab all of these and throw them in. Let's give them a distance from the right of 16. Once again, holding down the Option key to see the distances. And let's make sure to center it. I believe it's centered. Let's just double check. Awesome. So already that's starting to look much better. And now what we could go ahead and do is grab all of this. So just using your mouse, hold down Command G, which means to group it together. If you're on Windows, Control G, or another solution is you right click it and you say group selection. Once it's grouped together, we could go ahead and change the name up here. Instead of group 1, we could call it image card. And what's cool now is if you hold down the Option key and you click and drag, it copies the entire thing. So now we have the ability to create all of these really, really quickly. And then the only thing we're gonna have to change are the images. So I just did that for one, but if we look in this design here, we see that there's like a bit of a line, it's a separator. So let's go ahead and make that, and then we'll add in all these other image cards. And then we could get started with the bottom sheet. So let's go ahead and make that line. So I'm gonna go ahead and click L, which creates a line, or you could go up here, L, drag it. And what I find tough about this one is keeping it leveled. Oh wow, so I actually did it, but you just have to make sure this is at 0 degrees. Now I'm gonna go make sure that we're at 16 of distance. Actually, let's make it 32. From the top here, centered, and let's give this a different color. So we'll give this one CA, 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 save that. And instead, let's add it to our design system. That way we don't have to repeat this color later on. So click Style, plus, and we'll call this one gray. Oops, gray. There we go, save it, and now we could easily reuse it afterwards. So now that we've added this line in, let's go ahead and add the other image cards. So I'm holding down the Option key, clicking, dragging, there we go. Gonna do that a couple more times. Okay, cool. Now if we go ahead and prototype this by clicking the play icon on the top right, we should be able to see all our images, all our avatars, and scroll. Now we're not able to scroll. That must be because we haven't made this frame long enough. So we'll go ahead and extend it a bit. Now let's go check it out. There we go. All right, awesome. So we've got the base done of our first page. Looks pretty similar, just that we're missing this bottom sheet, and also all these pictures are the same. So if we want to change them, one really quick way is you could click them. So make sure you're clicking the image. You could right click, click Plugins, Unsplash, and then just once again, insert a random picture. But since I have a couple pictures that I want to add to make it look as similar as possible to this mockup here, what I'll do is you could go check out this prototype in the link below on this video. And it'll be a link to a whole Figma file and this whole design already complete. So I'll show you that now. This is what it's gonna look like. You could then go to images and download all these images by selecting all of them and exporting them. Once you've downloaded them, click save, open up the zip file, and now you'll have access to all the images. So I'll just move this away, make sure to get this back in. Now what we could do is we could go ahead and throw our images in there. So for the first one, I'm gonna click this image, click it here, choose image to replace it, and select image 1. Now an even faster way of doing this is you click image, image 2, drag it in, and there you go. If you know of an even faster way, send that in the comments down below and let me know to streamline my process. I'm gonna speed up this video and get them all done. Cool, so I added all the pictures in. We could see that the avatars are still different than what we had previously in the prototype here. But for the sake of just keeping this video short, I'm not gonna go change them exactly to what they should be in here. What I will do though, is I'm gonna go select all of them. So I'm holding down Command, if you're on Windows, Control, holding down Command and Shift and clicking all the avatars. And then what I could do is we could insert random portrait images using that Unsplash plugin, which is really cool. So right click, plugins, Unsplash. I'm just gonna make this full screen again. And then go ahead and insert a portrait. Now that's gonna insert brand new portraits in there so that we know that they're all gonna be different. So that's awesome. And now to make it look a bit better, we could go ahead and delete some. So I'm holding down the Command key to select specific items. So delete some, like that, just make it look a bit different for each. Okay, cool. So that looks pretty great for our first albums page, which looks very similar to this page here. Now, what we'll want to do is add a new page, and we'll call this one albums, and then in brackets, edit, as this is the one that's going to be having this bottom sheet. So to create the bottom sheet, it's actually really, really simple. We're going to hit the R key just for the rectangle and just create a rectangle at the bottom. Doesn't really matter the exact size. And then we'll change the color to our gray that we added before. And then we'll create some buttons in here. So actually, before we do that, let's round the edges up here. So you could actually do it like that, but then you'll see that it does all of them. So I'm gonna cancel that. We could go up here and click this button here. Now this is gonna make independent corners. And then we could go top left corner, let's give it 10. And this is top right, let's give it 10 as well. And there you go. Now let's go add in those buttons. So rectangle item once again, drag to create our rectangle, give it a fill of white from our design system. And now let's make sure that it is 16 from the left and 16 from the right. Cool. Let's give this one a border radius of 10 to make it a bit nicer. And let's add some text in here. So create a new gallery. And then we'll center it. So to do that, by the way, so let's move it back to the side. I click the text item, hold down Shift, click the background, and now I could center it horizontally and vertically based on the background itself. Now this is heading 1. Let's change it to heading 2, which is a bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead, hold down Shift, copy everything here, and paste it right under. Now let's make this button slightly smaller, and this is going to be the cancel button. Cancel. We'll give this one a body 2. Place it in the middle. And we'll just make sure that it is 16 from the other button. Cool. Now let's just move everything so that it is 32 from the top here, Awesome. And we could add a little bit of spacing here. This is fine. Keep in mind that when we're actually on our phone, there's going to be something at the bottom, like for example on iPhone, this bar here. So we don't want it to be too close to the bottom itself. But one thing we could add, so if we click both backgrounds, is an effect, and we could give it some drop shadow. So we go here to edit the drop shadow effect, and if by default it didn't go to drop shadow, you could click here and select it from the drop down. But we'll go to the effect settings and we'll give it a blur of, let's say, 10 and 5%, or you know what, let's do 10%, so it's not too much, and that looks pretty good. This text, I'm finding it a bit small, so instead of body 2, let's create a new one here called body 3, and let's go edit that, and we'll say that this one is 18. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Now I'm going to recenter it, and we're good to go. So one small thing to note, how are we actually going to open this up? So if we go back to looking at the demo prototype, we have this button up here. When we click it, it opens it up. When we click there, it closes it. So let's go ahead and make that. So up here, I'm going to click O on, whoops, I'm going to click O on my keyboard, hold down Shift to create a button, and we'll give it a size for now of say 32. Push it all the way to the right, so that's 16 from the right and aligned with our albums. Now we'll give it a fill of 007 AFF. That's going to give us a nice blue, and we'll go ahead and add that to our design system. We'll call this one our primary color. Now we'll add a plus icon in here. To do that, I also have a plugin, Iconify. Once again, if you don't have this plugin, go to Manage Plugins and you could download it from the community. So I'm going to click it. I already have my plus searched here, but you could go ahead, search it, drag this one into the project and into the circle, center it just by kind of, it snaps on its own, which is really nice about Figma. And we'll go ahead and change the selection color to our white. And there we go. Now we could group that. So right click and, oh, it's already grouped, but just to double check, Command G. And now I'm going to copy that and click this frame, paste it in so it goes in the exact same spot, and we're good to go. So now if we want to add that kind of like effect of navigation, we could do is click prototype. Now on this item here, we'll see this little plus icon show up when you hover over that circle. Drag it to the next page. Now it's been connected, and click this frame here, or this rectangle, and drag it back like that. So we could click play and just check if that worked. So it takes a second for the images to load, plus, and there we go. Looks pretty good. So the next step in our design is going to be our last page. So if we go to this page here, where we have a title at the top, we have a card image once again, little section here with the avatars, and then a bunch of photos, so this gallery. So let's go ahead and create that, and we can see that this screen is basically exactly the same as what we had in the inspiration mockup. So go ahead and click F to create a new frame, iPhone X, drag it to the top, cool, and we'll go copy this header. Now this one, we'll call it shared album, and we'll give it heading 2, perfect, center it, and I'm noticing here that we still have fill like that. What we should do instead is create a style of it, plus call it black, and we could go ahead and assign that to these. So fill, black, there we go. So first thing we'll notice is that there's a back icon in the header, and I'm actually going to bring this over to the right side. So let's go add that in. Once again, plugins, Iconify, and chevron left. That's what this icon's called. Oops, I didn't get it. Cool. Throw that in, make it 16 from the left. Awesome. We'll go ahead and change the color on this one. So selection colors, we'll go with the gray that we had earlier. Awesome. And now we could hit the rectangle key. And actually before that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a layout grid like we had done earlier, just so that we see the gutters on the right and left when we create our rectangles. So click R for rectangle, drag it in. Okay, awesome. And we'll give it a border radius of 10. Now we could go ahead and remove this. And once again, that was in layout grid and a column grid. Now to make it look like this over here, we could copy and paste the text, as that's going to be pretty similar, just that it's going to be closer to the bottom. So like that, we can put it 16 and 16, once again, holding down the Option key. And then we'll see that we have some new text here. So 102 photos. So that's just kind of like the number of photos. I'm going to go ahead and copy this one, drag it to the right, and whoops, didn't do that properly. Option, drag, let go. There we go. 102 photos. Now I'm going to bring that to the right. Cool, and we'll give it a different style. So we'll go ahead and fill it with our gray style, which we won't be able to see. So let's just change this to black for now. And let's click the text item again. Okay, cool. So that's going to be 16. Let's actually make that, is this one also 16? It is. Let's make this one a bit smaller. So let's go ahead and do body. Oh, sorry, this one should not be body 3. This should be body 1 since it's bigger, 18. I'm gonna go ahead and create body 3 now. So this one's actually body 3, which should be size 14. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now just make sure that it's in the right location. 16 and 16, awesome. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and put in a picture. So right click it, plugins, Unsplash, and let's go put a wallpaper in. Cool. Could put any of them that we want, or we could even go get the dog image from before and throw that in. So image, and let me go get this that we had downloaded earlier, drop it in. There we go. So now the next section we'll do is this right over here. So it just looks like a sort of rectangle. So let's plop that in. Let's put it 32 from the top. And let's make the borders 10 for the border radius. Let's give it a fill. So this one looks like it's some sort of light gray. So we'll go with EB, EB, EB. And by the way, I'm not just kind of like saying these off the top of my head. I wrote them down before. I'm not that good with colors. So that looks good. We'll give it a bit less of border radius because it looks like a bit much since it is smaller. Okay, awesome. That looks good. Now let's go ahead and copy these avatars and punch them in there. Give it 16 from the left. Cool, and a bit of spacing on the top and bottom. Looks good. Now we want some text here, so 3 people. So actually I'm gonna go copy this one, paste, drag it down, and we'll just change the color from gray. Actually, no, that's fine. That's good. Now the next section here will be the actual gallery. So we'll go ahead, text, and we'll say photos. Oops, caps lock on. So we've got this photos text here. Let's give it 32 from the top. Oops, 32. Good. Let's change the fill to be from our styles, so our gray. And now the fun part is we'll add in these pictures. So we'll go ahead, create some squares, and for now I'll just set them as, I guess, 101. By the way, to create a perfect square, I hold down Shift and drag. So that looks good. I'm gonna hold down the Option key, copy and paste to others. Now I'm gonna go ahead, click Shift and select all of them. And here we see this new icon show up. So this is auto layout. And what it does is it lays them out perfectly for us. We'll go ahead, click 4, looks great. And now I'm gonna open up the size a little bit and get this layout grid back, just to kind of see how far they should go. So that's 1, and just a bit bigger. Oops. Okay, awesome. Looks good. So I'm gonna go remove that. And now we see that 111 by 111. Let's give this one 4 from, or actually we could go 8 from the top. And we'll go ahead, hold down the Option key, copy it down. Once again, give it 4 from the top so that all the spacing is equal. Do that a couple more times. And that way we have our photo grid. So just gonna open this up a bit more. Now, this is the really cool part. I actually posted this on my Twitter, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But you could go ahead, select all these pictures, right-click them, go to our plugin with Unsplash, insert random, and just like that, it's going to take a few seconds to load, and we have a photo gallery. Super simple to use, really, really fast, and for any UX, UI prototypes, it's essential. So that looks amazing. If we wanted to add a couple of these rounded borders, we could by going up here, clicking the left border, 10. For this one, we'd go click independent corners and go to the right side, 10. Once again, for this one, the bottom right border, 10, and the bottom left border of 10. Awesome. So last thing to do, click prototype. And we'll go ahead and connect this image, so this dog's here, and this button to go back to this screen. So now if we play that, what we should see is our fully functional prototype, as we had seen at the beginning of this video. If you click the first picture here, you get brought to a very nice other page with the actual gallery itself and some more information. And if we click the plus icon here, we get our drawer. So let's go back to the design. I just noticed something tiny here. This should be 3 people instead of the number of pictures. So just move that back. Awesome. And that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. The React Native coding version of this will be coming out soon if you're interested. Check out my Twitter to stay up to date with everything that's going on. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see some other kind of UIs, mockups, prototypes, anything with React Native, similar to what DJ Red had done. And you'll find all the mockups, all the pictures, everything you need for this design in the link below. So once again, hope you enjoyed this and have a great day.